Hello and welcome to another episode of Dave Trippin'. You wouldn't believe the running around I've done just to catch the light before it died. And also you'll notice, I hope as well, that let it not be said that I don't invest in the channel. I got a new stick today, so it won't rattle as much. I still shake a little bit, but hey, what can you do? So, like the title of the video says, I've never really done a video before just talking about a day in the life of an ALT, or assistant language teacher, whatever you want to call it. And so I thought I would run through that. Thought it was a cool idea. So I'll just go through the day as would be an average day for me, and hopefully it can shed some light on exactly what you do and dispel some of the mystery surrounding what exactly goes on in the course of a work day at a school. So I get up, of course, my own experience, blah, blah, blah. Everybody has a slightly different experience, blah, blah, blah. So I get up because I live at an approximate distance of like 15 minutes away from my schools. I get up at about 10 past 7, and it takes me about a half an hour to get ready in the morning. I usually make myself up a bale of hay, as I refer to All Bran. I have some All Bran. Make myself a protein shake, 3 scoops, get about 60 grams of protein in there. And then I drive to school, and I drive to school in the vehicle that the company has rented for me. And it's really chill. One of the things I recommend if you get a driving assignment is to get one of those auxiliary cords once you have a phone, and then to connect that to your car so you can listen to music on the way to your work. Really, really nice. Also to Hype 'em. That's a great site if you want to listen to new music. Great site. Bloggers listing new music all the time. So I go to school, and then I usually arrive, if I'm on my game, if I'm on my A game, I'll arrive for about 15 minutes, quarter to 8. I'm leaving my house at around 7:25, 7:30, and I arrive at about quarter to 8. Arrive at about quarter to 8, and then the first class will vary depending on which school again that you're at, but my first class usually starts at 8:30 or 8:40. Pretty simple, right? And so that leaves that first half an hour in the morning where the teachers are usually going to have a meeting in rapid fire Japanese, where if your Japanese isn't up to snuff, you can kind of get the emotion that's going around the room in terms of what's happening, but you're not really going to know what's being said because they're not trying to talk as though you would understand what they're saying. So a good opportunity to practice listening to Japanese and see what it is exactly they have to say. That morning meeting only goes for about like 5 minutes. It's really rapid fire, like I say. When the morning meeting completes, then you're gonna kind of mess around probably like for 20 minutes. I've got like a pocket Wi-Fi, I bring my computer in, and you don't have much to do in that time. Maybe make yourself a coffee if you stayed up too late. Something I often do. And then let's say we'll go with one of my average days where I have classes in the first 3 blocks. So clicks around to 8:30. I try and get up to my class. Like, it makes sense to, they're all about punctuality in Japan. So I get up to my class probably like 5 minutes before it starts, just to be punctual. And you can chill in the class. It's a great time too, again, all these little moments in the day when if you want to connect with the kids a bit more, you can. One of the things I noticed was that a lot of the kids in one of my years would do arm wrestling. Girls, including the boys, not limited to just the boys, strangely enough. And I would arm wrestle with the kids. They would insist that they wanted to challenge me, and I said, sure. And I beat those little bastards into the ground every time. And then you will have your first class. Your first class generally starts with a greeting. You would do the greeting. I do the greeting anyways. How are you guys doing today? How's the weather today? What's the date today? And this gets a little more fluid. You can kind of decide exactly how you want to do that depending on the teacher and stuff. And then your first class will start. And you notice at no point here have I talked about my lesson plan, because the vast majority, this is something that really needs to be dispelled, because I came over and I remember being in my training and panicking, just like, I don't know if I'll be a good enough teacher, overthinking things as I generally do. And I got to my first schools and I was like, so, you know, do you guys need me to plan the first lesson? And they were like, or my lessons at all? And they were like, well, no, not really. We'll plan the lesson and we need you to assist us. And so most teachers, this is your typical class, although experiences may vary, will just get you to assist at that point. And assistance is drop dead simple. That's something I've tried to stay away from when people are like, oh, you're really out of your depth and it must be so difficult to be in a foreign culture. And it's just a yes-no answer that you'll get out of this, because yeah, it's difficult to do all those things, but in terms of the actual hands-on teaching, you're assisting. And so it's incredibly simple. They'll be like, okay, a good teacher will say, we're going to do this today, we need to cover this point. We'll probably have some sort of dialogue, like, some sort of interview with the students. If you can help with that, that's great. I'll need you to repeat some lines off the board. They'll probably be checking of homework. I'd like you to check with homework. But you can see at no point in time during this is it me really leading the class. And so I'll do that for like 45 minutes. I've known times where they just don't need me for portions of the class. And my place, my self-designated place, is a sunny spot by the window. And I go stand by the window, and this is maybe defamation of character, character suicide on myself, but I just want people to know when, there's all these impressions you might have where it can be so drop dead simple. It can. And this is more typical. I can talk about the exceptional cases where this isn't exactly what happens, but this is very typical. You'll help for like 30 minutes of a class, but for 20 you might just be going around, confirming that the kids know what they're doing with their homework. Really, really simple. That finishes, and then I will have classes that are like that. Say I have the first 3 periods of the day, 2 similar classes that then follow in the exact way, shape, and form. Is that one. Nothing to report. It's just so dead simple, easy in these typical situations. Then, I've only done 3 classes. That means that there's a 4th period before I have to go to lunch. I return to the office and I do what I love to do. And this is probably where I can actually see in the strangest way that some people can't handle the job, because this is the strangest thing in the world. You get a ton of free time. So now you've got this hour before lunch. They expect nothing of you. You'll probably have a day similar to the one that you've just had, so you don't really need to plan anything for the next day because they plan all the classes. And so you have to occupy yourself. And the way that I did that in my first and second year was I studied a lot of Japanese. And of course, if you're trying to build a healthy relationship with the school, that's a great thing to do, because they'll look over and they'll be like, oh, he's got his hiragana and katakana out and he's studying away. What a industrious foreigner, trying to appreciate our culture. We love that. And so that's a great thing to do. Another thing that you can do, I highly recommend, and I could make a video just on how much I love these, is bring an e-reader, because it allows you to bring an entire library over to Japan in your hand. Weighs nothing at all. Just amazing, right? So I bring an e-reader, and whether that's, you read whatever you want. I won't tell you what to read. I read a ton of stuff. So an e-reader is something I do. Now it's come up to lunch. And so with the power of editing, bam! This is the sort of thing that you might eat during lunch. And it's usually, 9 times out of 10, super, super healthy, as you can probably see from the picture that I found. And a great thing for you calorie counters, and something that I do, when I'm more strictly trying to cut or, get lean, get jacked and shredded, is they have this form that basically writes down all the calorie counts for the days, tells you exactly what's in the meals, tells you the fat, tells you the protein, and tells you the carbohydrates. So you can get your macros from this sheet that they have. So that's really, really useful if you want to keep track of your macros, which I like to do on myfitnesspal.com. Really, really handy site if you're looking to stay in shape. And so you sit down. At about 12:30, they're usually going to have lunch. And lunch lasts about till 12, people actually eat for about 20 minutes, and then you'll find the teachers going on and about their business at that point. But the next class probably won't begin until, say, oh, hey, you can see here, this is kind of cool. They've set this all up for New Year's celebrations. Check that out. That's cool, right? You'll notice a pattern. I walk here often. Yeah, so you have your lunch, and then classes would begin at 1:15 if you had any classes. But in this day, I only have 3. Very, very typical. And so you have from 1 o'clock until 4:30 to do not whatever the hell you want, but to occupy yourself as best you can doing whatever it is that you want to do. And all of those things that I listed above, you can do, which are, you can read, you can study Japanese, you can work on thumbnails for your YouTube channel. I've developed a relationship at this point with my schools where they like me in my classes for the most part, and they know that if they do ever need me to do anything additionally, that I am more than willing to help. And so I'm pretty much left to my own devices. I like to write. I'm trying to get published right now. I finished my first book. My website's down below if you want to read some of that. It's called Stoneheart. And they know that I'm writing. They'll come over and they'll be like, oh, how's your book going? And I'll be working away, writing my book. I don't recommend that until you have maybe a more established relationship at the schools, being like, oh, I'm just working on something completely unrelated to what I do here at the school. That's for a little later. And again, somebody could say like, oh, you lazy person, you could be doing this or that, but this is what I do. And I want to be honest with you about it, you know, where some people might hide behind just how easy this job can potentially be in practical, usual situations. Very, very common situations, we'll say. And so then, yeah, that's how I'm occupying my time to the rest of the day. I'm working on all those things that I'm really passionate about, and hopefully, sometimes I even edit videos while I'm there. I've got new software now. I'm stoked. I'm using Sony Vegas Pro, which is going to up my game a lot, I think. And that's how my day continues until about, what time is it usually? It's about 3:15. There'll be a cleaning time in the schools. And cleaning time is another great time because it's an opportunity for you to speak with the kids, because everybody will be assigned to, oh, it's families. It's an opportunity to speak with the kids because you'll be assigned to do something like I clean the staff room, and a bunch of kids come in and they have to clean with me. And that's what we do. We clean the staff room, and it only goes for about 10-15 minutes. I know Dean, my buddy, he like cleaned the gym with the kids. So that's something else that he did. And yeah, you can just chat up the kids if you feel comfortable, or just go about your business and clean. And that's the simplest thing to do in the world, and that'll probably take you, I don't know, like I said, 10-15 minutes, and then you're done. And then you've got, you know, from about 3:20 till 4:30 to the end of the day, again, occupying your own time however you may wish to do so. And then when it gets to about 4:30, I'll head out, and the things that I like to do after that are usually, I live in the countryside, like you guys always see when you watch any of these videos. It's like pretty chill out where I live, so there's not a ton to do. Which means if you're after the Japanese girlfriend or a Japanese boyfriend, it's a little more difficult to have kind of a social setting to do so when you're out in the countryside. But I don't know, you create your own social environments if that's what you're after. You'll find it. I go to the gym. There's a really cool arena near where I live, and I go there, and I can arrive usually for 5 o'clock, and then I work out probably for about an hour and a half. I come back to my place, usually can arrive there by like 6:30, 7 o'clock. And I make dinner, very simple, modest dinner, you know, consisting of like chicken, broccoli, cherry tomatoes. You don't care about that, whatever. Have my simple dinner. And then I do a few things in the evening like I would one of the things is upload videos to this channel, The Great Owl, because I'm into gaming. So I got my gaming channel that I'm doing videos for, and I upload to this channel as well. And then that's it. That's kind of my day. I try and go to bed at around 11, but that varies greatly because I'm an irresponsible human, and I don't stick to the things that keep me healthy so often. But that's it. That's kind of like the day in the life of an ALT. Now, I will add on like a minute or two at the end here just to say that this is typical and that this is what you would often do But don't get lulled into a false sense of security when you're like, I will never have to lead classes or prepare lessons or, you know, take on more of a leadership role in the class. I'm trying to give people the typical day, which is probably 99%, you know, of what's across the board as an ALT. But I also get sub-assignments where I go to elementary schools and I design and lead every single class when I go to those. On occasion, I don't even know that it follows any kind of pattern. The teachers at my school say, oh, Dave, can you lead this next class for us? And I'll say, yes, of course. And in that case, you are going to lead and design the whole class. And that, you know, happens semi-frequently, but, you know, probably you'll go months without that happening. And then 1 month, they'll expect you to do it like a couple of times. And then 1 month, maybe a lot. But it does happen. And I don't want to create the portrait as well that ALTs never ever lead classes, because that's not true. And in the rarest of circumstances, if you're somebody like my buddy Dean, he was at a school where he led absolutely everything and had like draconian restrictions on exactly how he could design the lessons, except he wasn't typical, but I'm just saying that exists. It exists. Yeah, so that's the day in the life of an ALT. It's way easier than a lot of people come over. A lot of people come over like myself who don't realize that you are an ALT. I came over thinking, I was like, I'm just a straight up English teacher, and so of course, you know, it's a no-brainer. I would lead absolutely everything. But when you come over and you work for these larger companies like Borderlink or Interac or EEC or ECC or Heart Japan, you're an assistant language teacher, and that's entirely different from the lead role in a classroom. Now, if you apply to jobs like I'm doing now, where you're going to work in an international school or you're a direct hire to a school, you are no longer an ALT, and that's the balance, right? Anything that engages us more is more rewarding, but takes more work. It's just this balance. It's this balance of what it is that you're interested in. And yeah, like I've said many times now, I want to dispel this idea that you need to panic. Being an ALT is a fantastic way to get your foot in the door and to develop when you're here, because I say it's like this slow introduction to being a teacher, where I think one of the scariest things for a lot of people is they'll come over like I did, where I want to do a good job. I want to be an excellent teacher, and it's quite daunting when you're looking at the timetable they offer you to become that, and the sort of training you're like, so I get a week of training, and then I'm expected to be a teacher. And then you tear yourself to pieces in training because they don't tell you yet at no point during the training, because they wouldn't want to, that it's actually going to be probably much easier than the training that you do. All right, there it is. If you like videos like this, please do comment, like, and subscribe. Maybe if there's any other teachers who've watched this and come to Japan, you can recount your experiences, whether to reinforce what I'm saying or to kind of confirm the idea that it was like, oh, I panicked when I came over here, but it was actually a lot more chill than I realized. Yeah, so please do comment, like, and subscribe. And yeah, check out my Let's Play channel if you're into the games. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my Instagram if you want to see some pictures over in Japan. And, most importantly of all, thanks for checking out the video at all. I really, really appreciate the community of support that I have on my channel. It's a ton of wonderful people. And I hope that it keeps growing. So thank you, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.